Let's get to back to some of your calls. We had a Spurs fan earlier saying basically that Harry Kane's overrated and doesn't score against the top teams. Sam, a Spurs fan, wants to address that. How you doing, Sam?
Hello, lad. You all right?
Yeah, very good.
Thanks.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, well, the minute I heard that call, I had to get in touch because to say Harry Kane is overrated, it's just crazy. You know, you look at his goals in North London derbies. His record is fantastic. You know, they're the biggest games going. His record in the Champions League when we were playing in that, the goals he scored in that, you know, it speaks for itself. And just looking at his goals alone as well, it's, you know, you still got to look at his all-round play. He's one of the best passers around, in my opinion. He's at the back. He's defending. His work rate. To hear it from a Spurs fan as well, you know, to say he's overrated is just absolutely bonkers.
Do you know something more, mate? I mean, what they want to concentrate on more, Spurs fans, I don't know what you think is, but you look at it, you know I have a little soft spot for Spurs. And the Harry Kane, I'm desperate for him to stay at Tottenham, right? But it looks like he might leave. But realistically, you look at the team now, and he's probably looking at it as well and thinking, dear me. The old defence, you need a whole new defence, Tottenham Hotspur. That defence is not good enough. It really isn't. You need more wide men. I mean, Bale's not going to be there next season. You need another creative midfielder. The ones there are not good enough, unless they're going to stick with Dele Alli and back him to do it. There's so much work to be done. And without the 110 million or whatever it is you'll get for Harry Kane, you ain't going to spend it otherwise, are you?
No, you're right. It's a rebuild, a complete rebuild. The whole squad. You know, the defence isn't good enough, the midfield isn't good enough. You know, if Harry Kane's not scoring goals, there's questions there. And to be honest, you've got to question the recruitment we've made over the last few years. You know, Daniel Levy came out in a statement the other day saying, I spent 250 million on players. But, you know, what have those players done? Yeah, and Ndombele, 65 million. There's a player there, but I haven't seen it. Sanchez, you know, spent big money on him. Lo Celso. We've just not spent money wisely. This rebuild needed to happen years ago. Pochettino said it, and you know, Kane must look at this and know what needs to be done. But we're not going to be able to do it because we're not going to spend the money needed. But it's sad to see. When I saw him doing the lap of honour yesterday, I shed a tear. I did, because there'll be no one hurting more right now than Harry Kane. You know, he wanted to do it at Spurs. He wanted to win trophies at Spurs. He didn't want to leave. He's not interested in the big money moves. He's Mr. Tottenham. And seeing him yesterday, it looked like a goodbye to me. You could be wrong, you don't know, but it did look like a goodbye to me. And there'll be no one hurting more that it hasn't worked out more than Harry Kane.
Do you know what? I think they sound like cheap words, but I think that's spot on. I think he wouldn't have stayed this long if he didn't really want to do it with Spurs. And it's only when it's got to this point where there doesn't seem to be a strategy because managers are coming and going. You know, and they get to a Champions League final a few months later, that manager's sacked and then Mourinho comes in. And then what's your plan for the rest of the season when you've got a chance of the top four and you're in a cup final? You appoint a 29-year-old rookie who, you know, with the greatest respect to Ryan Mason,
they were thrown under the bus.
I cannot see what the strategy was from the chairman there. And if we can't see it, then Harry Kane can't see it either. He might be mates with Ryan Mason, and for the Spurs fans to throw forward, well, they're good mates, and it's a greater point. Absolute garbage. Harry Kane will have felt his whole career is being undermined by the chairman putting Ryan Mason in charge for the rest of the season. Now, Spurs have got to be thinking big if they want to keep big players.
At the business end of the season. Yeah. They brought in Mourinho. They brought so much about it. It's about, listen, we don't matter what it's like, the football. If he wins as a trophy, that's what he's brought us in for. Well, he got you into a final, and then he didn't even lead them out for the final.
Crazy.
Or finish the season at the business end.
Let me just put right that the caller basically said that before, not the last one, the one before, said that he doesn't score against the top teams. Well, I've just gone through the last 4 seasons. He's scored in the Champions League against Juventus, Barcelona and Dortmund. He scored in the last 4 seasons 3 against Man United, 4 against Liverpool, scored in the North London derby every season, 2 against Chelsea. He was talking rubbish. His record against City isn't great, to be fair. I think he's played 10 times against City and he scored 2. You're right. Nobody really has a great record against City in recent times, do they? Leon's a City fan, wants to talk about Kane to City, possibly, Leon?
Hello, great show as always.
Cheers.
Before I say this, I just want to say, please let me finish what I'm saying before you rip my head off.
Oh, we're waiting for you to start it.
I really cannot stand the fact that they think that he's worth 150 million. If you're going to spend that money, you get Haaland, a 20-year-old proven goal scorer without the injury record to his ankles. If we're going to get a Kane, I'd say less than 100 million.
You're having a laugh, aren't you, mate? Honestly.
No, not at all. 100% less than 100. He's 28 years old. He's got 8 years over Haaland. Who would you get for 150? You go for Haaland every day.
Well, it depends if Haaland wants to go to Man City. He may not want to.
Even if he don't want to go to City, I still wouldn't get Kane.
If it just say, here's a scenario, Leon. Let's just confirm what you're saying there. If Haaland's the number one choice and he chooses to go to Real Madrid, you don't want Harry Kane.
No, I don't. Because
well, who do you want then? You're going to keep playing with a false nine? I mean, who do you want?
Mbappe is going through his refusing to sign at the moment, so there's always that option as well. But I just wouldn't go for Kane because one of his age, he's not old, but 28 years old next year. He's got problems with his ankles constantly.
Right, well, let's address this. And he has had ankle injuries, you're right, but let's address this. Constantly problems with his ankles is quite a big thing to say. And if you're that individual who's had ankle injuries, to hear somebody just come on and say constantly have problems with his ankles, let's assess what that means, because he's played 33 of the 37 Premier League games so far this season, Harry Kane. I mean, that means he's not missing very many. Last season, he played 29 of the 38. The season before, 28 of the 38. Before that, there were no problems whatsoever. So, yes, he has had some problems, and he does. But this is the point I've been making all along. I'm not sure if people are understanding it. If he goes to Manchester City, then he will get more rest. He won't be rinsed. He won't be played if he's got a little knock. Like he's played at Spurs, come back too soon from injury, and all of a sudden it gets a lot worse. This won't be happening at a bigger club with bigger resources, with bigger strategy, bigger thinking clubs, bigger clubs. It won't happen. Whether it's United or City, it won't happen. Just say he goes to United. Cavani's just signed a deal. You've got Greenwood there and Rashford. He ain't going to be rinsed
and
every
Martial.
Single game. Well, they might want to swap him.
Yeah, they might swap him.
But it's a different level of thinking at a club like City and United to where Spurs are at. They are. He's right, Mason. 5 years behind at least.
Yep.
At least.